In an effort to get to know you guys, I've been running some polls recently. You guys might have seen it. About 4 weeks ago, I released this poll. Trying to figure out, what kind of things do you guys struggle with? And I was surprised to see that a substantial amount of you are not addicted to drugs. And that to me is awesome. But on the other hand, I'm glad we're getting real with ourselves here. Because also, the same light, opposition, all things, substantial amount of you are addicted to eating drywall. Now, of course, there's some others. And you guys aren't gonna say what those other things are. Maybe that's food. Maybe you're addicted to YouTube. But this video is not about addiction. It's not about addiction. It's about solving your problems head on. It's about identifying what they are and then having the next step to accomplish or achieve, or I guess more so, conquer those dragons in our lives, right? We'll call it that. So what is the method that you guys really want? What is it that you guys really need the most help with? I think what you guys really are looking for is the step 2. Identifying is step 1, but step 2 is step 2. So I ran another poll, and this poll was kind of asking the question of, what do you guys need the most help with? Now, I'm filming this like a day after I released that poll, so I don't know how much it's gonna change by the time you guys see this. The date that I'm filming this video is October 1st. Things can change. I have no idea how it's gonna be. All right, but I wanna talk about this, and I wanna help you guys get to step 2, whatever that step 2 is. But first, I need to say this. It's time to get real. And I don't know what it is, what it is that you might be struggling with. I don't know what it is that you're worried about, that you're stressed about. It could be a lot of things. There's a handful of problems in this world, and arguably more than we can handle. Like we ourselves cannot handle a lot of these things, but there is a way. And I really do mean you have to get real with yourself. Not long ago, I had the same realization. I have to get real with myself. Even though my life is actually pretty good right now. Even though I'm okay, I'm doing all right, I still have my struggles, and my wife and I still have challenges to overcome, right, in our lives, and just trying to figure out how to be successful, how to prepare ourselves for things that we do want, some of our goals like having children or like achieving financial security, those kinds of things. And I had to get real with myself, and I was thinking, what is my duty as a man? What is my purpose? What is it that God sees? And in doing so, I started to make some serious changes in my life, and I used a journal, which is step 2, and also the part of the poll that you guys were asking about. And I've got a lot to say about journals because I use a journal every day. There's so much I think this can do for you. But more than that, I think it can really change your life if you let it. The part that we leave out of getting real with ourselves is getting to know who we are. And I've realized that in my life, and maybe you guys have too. You can comment down below if you've felt this, or if there's been an experience in your life where you've particularly resonated with this idea. But you get to this point and you realize that you actually really don't know yourself. It's like, yeah, you have goals, but you don't know what you're supposed to be or who you're supposed to become. There's so much battling for our attention, so much. We spend more time, I'm beating a dead horse with this, but we spend so much time getting to know the lives of others through like video games, getting to know these artificial lives or artificial achievements, or developing our artificial character, right? And we spend all this time watching our TV shows and getting to know each individual person. Like my wife and I are watching Stranger Things right now, and it's that same exact thing where we're spending all this time and we're getting to know Mike or 11, all these different characters, right? And you do the same thing with movies. You do it with everything. You do it with YouTube. You're scrolling through your shorts and you're watching the same people every single day. And you know more about these people, I swear. You know more about these people than you actually know about yourself. And a lot of times we ask ourselves, like, why can't I seem to figure out what I'm supposed to do with my life? Why can't I seem to figure out what I'm supposed to do with my life? But the person we forget that knows more about us than we know about us, than anybody else knows about us, is God. So obviously spend the time reflecting upon your life. Spend the time reflecting on who you are and who you're supposed to become. Spend more time looking at your past and the things that you've accomplished, what makes you special, those challenges that you overcame. Spend time looking for those things, pinpointing every single one of those things down, and then writing them down. This isn't just a record for yourself. This is a record for your children and for your children's children. In 3 to 4 generations from now, there will be people talking about your life. You just got to write it down. You got to be writing things down. So reflect on your life. Figure out who you are. But then going back to that last point, converse with him who knows all things about you, including what's to happen, what is to come, and what you have been. Because who you were in the past, even though we're reflecting on who we were once and our decisions and the challenges we overcame, we are not that same person. Your brain goes through so many developmental cycles of change that by the time you're 25, you're a completely different person from when you were 18. And I'm starting to feel that right now. I remember when I was younger, I don't know if you guys can resonate with this as well. Let me know again in the comments. I want this to be some discourse, right? I remember there was a time when I was young when it was like suddenly it was like a switch flipped in my brain and I was able to communicate a little bit more clear, a little bit more freely. And I remember my siblings bringing this up because I was the youngest child, and my brother would tell my mom, wow, Gabe is really talking clear. And I remember that. That's like one of my core memories. And now I'm 24 years old, coming up on my 25th year of my entire life. I'm married, I live in my own place, I'm not living with my parents anymore. All of my money is made by me and goes to things that are responsible and real. I have responsibilities and goals and dreams that I never had when I was younger. And my life is very different. What I want from life is very different. I guess part of the real message here in this video is it's okay not to know who you are. I think it's really important to know who you once were, but it's not as important to find out who you are. I'll tell you what is important again. What is important, yeah, what you once were, but now who are you going to become? What do you have to offer for your life and for the individuals and people around you? And that's where it kind of goes back again to God. I'm a little distracted. I'm zigzagging back and forth on my points. But you need to start asking God who you're supposed to become. You need to start asking your Father in heaven, what is it that you want from me? What is it that you expect from me? You need to have a real conversation. It's not really about getting real with yourself. It's about getting real with God. When we feel this need, I need to get real with myself. It's not that you need to get real with yourself at all. You need to get real with God. And I think we forget about him. We leave him behind. We put him on the back burner quite often. It's so easy to focus less on God and let our selfish desires pilot our lives than to kneel down and ask him, what is it that you need from me? And I'm saying you can do this. And he will effectively answer everything you have to ask, right? If you watch the last video, you'll see that everything is about asking God. Ask God and you shall receive. It's a promise in the Bible. It is a promise in the scriptures. We've been taught this several times. Ask and you shall receive. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. Christ is literally knocking on the door, asking you. And you feel this need to get to know yourself. You feel this need to get real with yourself. In the end, what it really is God's calling you to make some serious changes in your life, to adjust how you are, who you are, where you're going, who you need to become. I don't know, what are your plans? Let's get real there. You think God needs you to be married? It's a commandment to multiply and replenish the earth. You think you're maybe too focused on things like, I don't care what all these other influencers say. Everyone is going to say, don't get married, get focused on money. I think that is an absolute teaching of the devil. Do get married. The younger you get married is not going to make it you're not more likely to get in a divorce. I think in history, we always got married young. Men always married young women, and young women always married young men. You got married young without the experience. You didn't have the experience. You didn't have the wealth. You always got married young. Now, why is this important? The longer you prolong this opportunity to marry and find a mate, find a partner, which let's remember Adam and Eve. God gave Adam Eve because she was helpmeet. Adam literally needed Eve to thrive. He needed Eve to thrive. God said, it is not good for man to be alone. It is not good for man to be alone. You're wondering, why am I struggling so much? It's where sin creeps in. It's where temptations creep in. The second you get married is the very second that your natural man is left behind. You go through another mental switch in which you now have to adjust to living and providing for a woman who suddenly you haven't known your whole entire life, but now you feel like you know better than you know anybody else. Then you start to succeed. Then wealth comes because you no longer have to provide for yourself. You are not as important to you. Honestly, you're going to say that. You're going to feel like I'm doing all this for me. I need to do all this for me, right? But you are not as important to you. Otherwise, you would start achieving goals. You'd start doing things. Your business would start working. You'd have a product out that would be selling. So you are not as important to you. But if you had a wife, and you had a reason to provide and to work harder and to make more money, then you would do it. You would work for it. Same thing, if you had children, it's an even bigger mental switch, I imagine. I can only imagine. I hear about it all the time. That having children is one of the most financially smart decisions you can do as a man. Yeah, you're going to be poor for a little, but what happens then? What mental switches have to happen for you to be able to provide for a family? Men are very adaptive creatures. We have to adapt. And if we don't have challenges to adapt to, then we don't grow. We don't become more. Men who gain wealth by themselves, without a woman, and with their business partner, or by themselves, it doesn't matter. Men who gain wealth, for men, gain wealth out of ego and pride. It is the greatest psyop you can fall into. Ego and pride is literally what separates you from the answers of God. So now let's go back to that again. I'm zigzagging again. Pray and ask God, what am I supposed to become? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to change in my life? That's the most important part. What am I doing right now that is negatively impacting my future? If you have pride, if you have ego, and there's two different types of ego. I've talked about this also before. Feminine ego and a masculine ego. One is I'm worse than everybody else, and one is I'm better than everyone else. If you don't walk the thin blue line in between, your doors are closed. You cannot receive answers from God. So when you're focused on wealth for yourself, God can't speak to you. I am saying you found this video for a reason. You found this video because you are trying to make some changes in your life. The algorithm on YouTube is so interesting because it is 100% based off of our psychology. It is 100% based off of what we are seeking in life. Because if you watch one video, it's obviously going to recommend another. It's the same reason why when you talk about things, those same commercials come up, because the AI is always trying to pump things out. God, in the same way, uses the tools that we create to also communicate to us. I am not saying it is by some happenstance, because I don't believe in happenstance or coincidence. Coincidence is an idea generated and created by man. There is no coincidence. There is no happenstance. There's only godly and divine intervention. You found this video for a reason. Not because you need to get real with yourself, but because you need to reconnect with God. That's how you get real with yourself. You get real with yourself by connecting with God and getting real with Him after you've talked to God, after you've been looking for those things. It's quite evident that you have things that you need to solve. You're addicted to porn. You're addicted to YouTube. You're addicted to watching movies and binging TV shows. You're addicted to scrolling on shorts and Instagram Reels and TikToks. That's where you spend your time. That's what you give meaning to in life. You give meaning to school and to work. Because after you're finished with school and work, you're tired and you just go back to scrolling. There's nothing that has meaning in your life. There's nothing that has purpose or intrinsic value to you and your soul. Nothing feeds your soul. Nothing feeds your soul. These things have now become clear because you've prayed to God, you've asked Him, you've written those things down in your journal, you have self-reflected long enough to understand who you are, where you came from, which is the most important thing, and who you need to become. Because there are challenges coming in your life, and if you do not adapt, you'll be left behind. You will leave you behind. God's calling you. He's beckoning you. Life was never meant for the mundane way. It was never meant to wake up, go to work, or go to school and make that all of your life. The meaning of life was never meant to be focused on your job or work or school. It was never meant to be the focal point. Those are meant to be tools. The internet, our phones, those are meant to be tools, yet we make them the focal point of our life. Remember this, there are things that we want in life. You do want that car, and it makes total sense. You want that job. You want to be able to create wealth off of your own efforts, doing what you love. But you cannot forget, not that you should turn your focus away from those things, because you should still have goals and you should still be striving to achieve them. But seek first the kingdom of God. The scriptures say, it's one of my favorite scriptures. Take no thought for what you should eat or what you should drink or what you should put on or for tomorrow. Instead, put first the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, and then all of these things will be added upon you. The things that you desire, the things that you want will be added upon you. But first, your focal point has to be God. Your focus can't be on, I'm better than anybody else, or it can't be on, I'm worse than anybody else, because you are worth it 100%. You've got to walk that thin blue line. And that thin blue line, it's like a tightrope. Either which way, it's a fall to your death. You can't focus on the fall. You can't focus on what's beside you. You have to focus on what's in front of you, which is God. You cannot fail, you cannot fall if your focus is on God. And to focus on God is to follow His commandments. to multiply and replenish the earth, to get married, to love your neighbor, to do unto others as you would do unto yourself. All of these same exact things are the laws of self-improvement, law of detachment, law of attraction. All of those things directly embody these commandments. If our focus isn't on God, we will fail, we will fall. This isn't about getting real with yourself. This is about getting real with you and God. My name is Gabriel Bowman. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you guys were able to take some value out of this. If you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of my future videos. I film and I post like this every single Monday. That's where you can find me, right here, and I will see you in the next video.